Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. As-salatu was-salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Honorable guests and my dear friends, in this auspicious occasion of Consoulium 2021, we are gathered here to speak out something about a grammatical issue. Let's speak out about the Indian future of Indian Muslims in Indian democracy. Let's speak out the Indian democracy. We know the Muslims have no any future. While we are thinking about that, no any future in the for Indian Muslims. We are suffering such kind of problems in Indian democracy. And while we are taking the history has a permanent role and it is connected with past and future. So let's speak out. This is Muhammad Al-Amin. This is Faiz Ibrahim and Ikram Ali. We can interact with their Epitome views. Then let's speak out the history of Indian Muslims in this democracy, the Indian democracy. There is a eminent history for Indian Muslims. This is the truth. And Mr. Faiz Ibrahim, what you have to talk about the history of Indian Muslims?
In the history of India, the Muslims have played a permanent role in every field. When we check in the history of India, freedom fighters and other permanent role played by Muslims is very important. India, the country India is ruled by many Muslim scholars and Muslim rulers like Mughal dynasty and some others. And when we checking the history of freedom fight, in this Muslim leaders like Maulana Shaukat Ali, Muhammad Ali Jinnah and other leaders have played a permanent role in freedom fight against British colonialism, and they made their mark in the history of India, and they were the main characters of Indian history.
Okay, Faiz Ibrahim clarified that the history has a legend that done by the Indian Muslims, isn't it? You talk about that, okay. Then we have to talk about the our general problems of Indian Muslims in this democracy. Actually, Faiz Ibrahim talked about the eminent and prolific history of Indian Muslims. And nowadays, or this scenario, what are the general problems facing by Indian Muslims?
It's a huge and extensive question that we have to find answer for it.
Yeah, correct.
There are
sure.
many problems have been facing Muslims in prescribed age. The problems and issues have also increased in the recent days. But the way forward have to be found the Muslim community itself. It's very important. When we analyze the issues and problems and challenges facing by Muslims today in India, the problems are economical problems, educational problems, political problems, and also such problems from terrorists and also Islamophobia. It's a huge problem facing by Muslims today. And there are many child in India who were trying to go for jobs when they're just 10 years old. It is a huge problem of India.
You're talking about child labor.
Yes.
Okay, continue please.
such as there are many cultural problems faced by Muslims today in India. They have no education, literacy, knowledge to talk about a content in front of the people. It is a huge problem, extensive problem facing by Muslims today in India, and also we have to point it very clearly and calmly.
Okay, that clarified that this scenario is very contrasted with Indian Muslims, especially from the grave into the throttle. Okay, then let's talk about our this eminent government. Is the government is the main role of this underestimating these Muslims, and we have to talk about the helping proficiency of our government. Is there any is there any views of you about our government's helpings on Indian Muslims?
Of course, we can say that the government is only helping the majority in our country.
Yeah.
We can see that literally nothing is done for the minority, including the Muslim community. We can see that in the recent periods, the laws like NRC, CAA, and the civil code was to be implemented or was implemented, which we can clearly say that the agendas behind these laws is, of course, it is against the Muslim and the minor communities. So, as a result, in the future, it will be a disaster for the minorities living in India.
Sure.
And we can see that the agenda behind the government of India is to build a Hindu Rashtra. The party agenda and their politics is the views of their leader Golwalkar, that the main enemies of their main enemies are communists and the social media and Muslims. So we can say that they are trying to build a nation for majority that is Hindus. So we have understood that they are trying to build a nation only for the majority.
You're saying that this government only helping the Hindus, or there is completely they didn't helping our Muslims? Is
Of course, we can say literally they are doing nothing for the minority.
the government is doing nothing for Muslims?
Literally, they are not saying they are doing nothing.
Oh, okay. Then, while it's a big problem, the Indian Muslims have suffering many of the problems in this democratical country. We have to think that this is a democratical country. In democratical country, there is no any suffocations or sufferings of on others. It's not permissible in democratical government. But in this scenario, the democracy of this government, BJP government, has become a cruel against our Indian Muslims. Then, any remedies or solutions or any solving equipments that put forward by you can be implemented later in our future for our Muslims' future?
This question, it has more relevance and significance today. To begin with, first of all, Muslims have to live a complete Muslim. It is a great attempt to differentiate all kinds of problems facing by Muslims today. Muslim have to live a complete Muslim because Islam creates mercy and peace while the people. Islam is the greatest religion that preached and propagated democracy across the world. Salam, namaz is a great example for it. We can say that. And secondly, we have not find one solution that a movement started within the community. It is very important to rescue, to remove the sectional divide existing in our society.
How?
Because others see Muslim as a monolith community, not a faction ridden one. Therefore, we have to stand together to survive all kinds of problems and challenges and issues facing by Muslims today. It's very important. And secondly, thirdly, we can say one solution for it that Muslims have to create a sustainable relationship with minorities. Because we can study, learn many of things from minorities. It will help to survive all kinds of problems facing by Muslims today. Because Manmohan Singh, he was a Prime Minister of India. He is from a religion from Sikh. He's a minority.
Yes,
The collaboration with minorities will help the Muslims to survive all kinds of problems and challenges, issues facing by India today is very important.
Okay, the majority and minority is a common and a relevant problem. But according to you said that Muslims have to do their practical version of Islam. Then how with these deeds, how become Muslim in the future, become a good person or a good manner in the eye of our government?
As I mentioned that Islam is the greatest religion that preached and propagated democracy. When we live as a complete Muslim, we can resist, we can demonstrate all kinds of problems and challenges. It is a fact, it is a truth that we have to copy and follow in our life. That's all.
Okay, that's a main issue. Therefore, Muslim have to get some remedy for these sufferings from our government. This democratical government implementing on our Islamic rules or implementing on Muslims some unfavorable rules and implementations. This is not favorable for us according to a Muslim. And then any other peculiarization of this matter can you say?
The political awareness of Muslims is very important problem. As mentioned here, Muslims now, the poverty is the existing problem in the Muslim community. So they buy more monies for their votes from political parties, and they share their votes for communal parties like BJP. It is a notable thing that in the UP, the main standhold of RSS or BJP it is a majority is Muslims, but there is not Muslims
There's a reason.
awareness about political parties and their agendas. So they vote for BJP and elect them for their ruling.
Sir, there is a issue that the Muslims in UP, they are majority, and they also voting for the Hindus party BJP.
I said
It's mentioned that the BJP is not only a party of Hindus, but it's a party of Muslims also. It is mentioned from that.
No,
isn't it?
It's not true. Their agenda here said it, establishing a Hindu country, Hindutva is the main purpose of their activities, and their attempt for establishing a Hindu country, uprooting Muslims from
That's
here,
right.
and establishing Hindu majority and get out Muslims from the country. And it's I would like to another thing that education is also a solid remedy for this problem.
Yes, thanks. And any other suggestions?
Yes, education is the major part
How
for
to took fastly. Okay.
taking advantages in our country for the minority. We can see that Kerala is the most educated people. Kerala have the most educated people in the country. But in other states, we can see that the decrease in the level of and the low level of education in the other states.
Okay, that's right. That's a first and foremost remedy that we have to put forward or implement in our Indian Muslims, that to give education, to implement the educational purposes in the Indian Muslims, because in our Kerala we have seen that our Keralians are in a correct manner about the vision of these parties. About the parties, Kerala people have a correct vision. So this kind of vision have to made to anchor by them also. So we have to implement some educational ways and views in front of them, and we can drive safe in the future of Indian or the future in Indian democracy. Okay, this is a conclusion of this speak out. Okay, thanks all of you, and let's conclude. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.